Okay, take it away.
Hi everyone, welcome to Go Green, Save Green. I'm Sarah, I'm from John Jay Sustainability Club, and we're going to start off just by giving a little bit of an overview about the Sustainability Club. So once again, thank you so much for coming tonight and taking an interest in lowering your home's carbon footprint. I'm just going to give you an overview. I'm Sarah, I'm the president of the club, and I'm here with Carolina and Lily.
Hi, I'm Carolina. I am kind of the graphic designer, one of the leaders of the Sustainability Club. And Lily, if you want to go next.
Hi everyone, I'm Lily. I am a senior and I'm the vice president of the Sustainability Club, and I've sort of been in charge of organizing this event, and I'm super happy to see everyone here. So yeah.
So just an overview of our mission as the Sustainability Club at John Jay. Our goal for the past 2 years has been to teach the school community about a wider variety of ways to make an impact. And this year we really tried to branch out and go into a lot of different themes that we'll go over later in the presentation. And we've done this by approaching sustainability from different areas because we're trying to make a bigger impact than we did last year on our previous project, and really just involve all different areas of sustainability. So what we did was we had a different campaign or an action campaign every month or every 2 months, and this project was related to a specific theme, combating a specific environmental problem. And we did school-wide initiatives to involve the community, and we really tried to reach out over social media to do that. And we spread the word with educational resources related to the theme.
So throughout the months of December and January, our initiative was focused on changing shopping habits. So our theme was related to clothing waste and sustainable shopping. And our main project throughout this month, or these 2 months, was having a clothing donation drive for the community center near us. We set up a drop box in front of the school for clothing donations, and we spread the word through social media, as Sarah mentioned previously. And we ended up collecting over 1,000 pounds of clothing donations, which was a huge success for us. And then during the months of March and April, this is still an ongoing project currently, but our focus is reducing single-use plastic. So we wanted to reduce plastic use at our school, especially in the school cafeteria. And we sent out a district-wide pledge to stop using plastic water bottles. And we also had a large amount of signatures, which was very exciting. And we plan to start selling reusable water bottles when we return to school in person. And we aim to sell these water bottles to mainly the sports teams at our school. And yeah, now Lily is going to explain more about what we will be doing in the future.
Great. So obviously our current project regarding reducing fossil fuels, which has been our latest theme. So this is our biggest project for that theme, organizing this presentation. But looking to the future, in May and June, we're looking to focus on food waste. So some sort of community-wide or school-wide project that involves gardening, composting, or even local CSA initiatives, just to inform the school community a little bit more about food waste. So for tonight's presentation, again, I want to thank everyone so much for coming. This is a great opportunity to learn about Energy Smart Homes, which is Sustainable Westchester's program that makes it super easy for Westchester homeowners to switch to renewable energy. We're going to go over all of the different specific technologies that the program has that can be specific to your home, and we have contractors here to talk about all of the different technologies and the specifics of these. And the best part about this is that it's not only more sustainable for your home, but it can also help you save a lot of money and have a far more efficient home. So thank you so much everyone for coming, and I will hand it over to Lauren from Sustainable Westchester now.
Thanks, Lily. I'm just so proud of all of the John Jay High School Sustainability Club members for working so hard to bring this event together. And I want to say thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. So one of our partners in hosting this event is also Bedford 2020. So we're going to hear from Mariah from Bedford 2020. We're going to get a homeowner testimonial, and then you're going to hear from our partner contractors and Claire from Community Solar at Sustainable Westchester. So Mariah, can you tell us more about Bedford 2030? You're on mute.
Classic Zoom mistake. Hi, everyone. I'm Mariah O'Crongley, and I recently started as the program manager at Bedford 2030. It's been really wonderful working with the John Jay Sustainability Club. I wish they had had this when I was in high school. For those of you that don't know, Bedford 2030 is a grassroots environmental organization focused on addressing climate change in the Bedford community and beyond. And our goal is to lead a community-wide effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in Bedford in line with our climate action plan, the town's climate action plan, by 80% by 2030. And our aim is really to make sure that everyone has clean, healthy air, water, and land. And one of the big ways we can address this problem is by reducing greenhouse gas emissions attributed to buildings. And just as a reference point, in 2017, residential and commercial buildings in Bedford generated 50% of the greenhouse gas emissions. So every one of you making the decision to switch to a air source heat pump or a geothermal heat pump, making energy efficiency upgrades, all will contribute to us being able to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. We are really excited to support the John Jay Sustainability Club. And please, I think the students just posted a link to our website in the comments where there is a bunch of tools and resources for the local community to see what we're doing in regards to home energy, as well as composting, recycling, and so much more. And just wanted to also let everyone know this Saturday, we have our Green Light Award finals. Students from in the regional area have put together really comprehensive and incredible programs to address different environmental problems. And we invite everyone to tune in. And we also have our Earth Day Fest on Sunday, May 2nd at the Bedford Hills train station. All information can be found on bedford2030.org/events. Thanks so much, and looking forward to hearing from everyone.
Thanks, Mariah. And I can't wait for that Earth Day event at the Bedford Hills train station. It's a ton of fun, lots of good vendors, and I know everybody's itching to get outside again. So highly recommend that. Okay, so before we go through explaining the different technologies and the different incentives and rebates that exist out there, we're going to hear from Ellen Calves, who is our Bedford Deputy Town Supervisor, and she installed an air source heat pump at her own home. So let's hear it from the source, somebody that has done this work in their home. Ellen? Mute. Oh, mute is getting us tonight.
Yeah, sorry. This is great. I'm so happy the John Jay Sustainability Club has offered this to the community. This is such a great way to get the word out to people, you know, way beyond the high school too, the whole school community, about these great opportunities to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and take care of the planet, clean up the air, and reduce waste. So I had a heat pump installed at my house last year. Part of that was to get some insulation as well in my attic, and then installed a heat pump that does both air conditioning and heating in my house. I didn't get a whole house system, so it's targeted to like a certain part of my house, but I usually use the heat pump all summer for the air conditioning, and then in the winter, I use the heat pump usually in the fall and the spring because I didn't get the whole house. But it uses electricity to heat my house instead of oil. And so that cuts down on our oil bills. And also because I subscribe to get 100% green energy or electricity at my house, I know that when I'm heating my house with my heat pump, I'm not using any fossil fuels. So that is pretty exciting. I have it in my background right now. That's what it looks like outside. It looks like an air conditioner, kind of. And because we got the insulation, our house is much more comfortable as well. So that was really worth doing. It's like not as cold in the winter. It's not as hot in the summer. It's just much tighter feeling. And when we did that, you know, we got we had the assessment done, we got the insulation, we got the heat pump, and then we got some nice money from the program NYSERDA offers to help us pay for the heat pump. So very happy with the whole situation of getting off fossil fuels and having a more comfortable house. So thanks for letting me come, and thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Ellen, for sharing that. Great. So I think we're ready to move into our slideshow now. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to just go through a few slides explaining just a little bit about who Sustainable Westchester is, and then we'll get into it. So yep, got that great flyer. So for people on the call that aren't familiar with Sustainable Westchester, we're a nonprofit consortium of Westchester governments, and it's our goal to help enable sustainability programming to help ensure a better future for our communities. And pretty much every single municipality in Westchester County is a member, including Westchester County itself. And we offer a whole suite of programs. So tonight we'll be talking about energy smart homes, but we do offer a community solar program. Westchester Power is helping to provide clean electricity to people's homes. We've got information for homeowners, renters, anyone that's driving a car for moving to electric vehicles. We can help people. Our virtual power plant program is really interesting. This is a new program that can help you to get solar panels paired with a backup battery. Grid Rewards is a great program that Sustainable Westchester and Bedford 2030 are advertising now. It's a demand response program to lower your electricity demand in the summer and get some cash back by the end of the summertime. We also have info about zero waste program. So now Claire from the community solar team is going to give us some information about how someone can do an easy sign up to participate with community solar. Claire?
Thanks, Lauren. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to be on here with you. I'm Claire Kropowska. I manage the community solar program at Sustainable Westchester. I think all of you are well aware that traditionally solar on rooftops, how that works is you have a house or a building, you install solar panels on it, and then the electric bills go down over time. But the problem with that is that it can be pretty inaccessible for someone who just doesn't have the upfront funding to do that, or might not have a roof to do that, period. Lots of people rent, which is what brought Sustainable Westchester to developing its community solar program, which we launched just a couple of years ago. And it's really exciting because with community solar, instead of each person installing solar panels on their own roof, it makes it possible to install a large community solar farm on a large rooftop somewhere locally. And when that large solar installation goes up, lots of people can join that specific solar farm, and that is constantly generating solar power that goes into the local electric grid and powers the whole community with greener energy. And the folks that are enrolled in community solar get discounts on their monthly electric bills as a result. So community solar is a really wonderful new way of benefiting from solar, and it's not just something that's available to homeowners only or people with the upfront investment only. It's really made it much more accessible. Next slide, Lauren. So every single month, anyone that enrolls in community solar and joins a specific community solar farm gets up to 10% off of their electricity bills every month, which over time certainly adds up. And they're supporting local renewable energy through that solar production right there locally. Already since community solar launched a couple of years ago, it's exploded the amount of solar available in Westchester County by about 4 times, or quickening the pace of solar development in Westchester County by about 5 times what it was before. So that's huge, and we all really need more green energy. There's no solar installation on someone's rooftop for joining. There's no cost to join or cancel, so it's really easy to come and go as someone needs to. Easy cancellation too, so nobody has to get locked into a really long contract if they don't want to. And Some people have different electricity suppliers, so community solar can work with any of those. Next slide. And just to show a quick example of how this works, when someone joins a community solar farm, they earn a solar credit, and that's based on how much solar energy was generated at their solar farm for them. So if we take this example, let's say someone's Con Ed bill is $115 this month, and maybe they earned a solar credit that was $100. So then they pay Con Ed the difference, which is only $15. And the next step of this is that after they pay Con Ed a very small amount, whatever's left over after the solar credit's taken into account, they pay the solar farm for that solar credit at a 10% discount. So every single month, whatever someone's solar credit is, they save 10% off of that. And in this example, this lucky community solar subscriber saves $10 and pays $105. So there's a lot, and not only are they supporting local renewable energy and saving money, but also a lot more of their dollars are going to renewable energy. And when lots of people are doing that, it means more and more support for renewable energy. And it's a lot easier to build up green initiatives and renewable energy in the county as a whole. So I already mentioned how much it's accelerated solar development in the county, and in New York State, that's no different. We've got about 1,600 people plus enrolled in our program now, and that's only growing every day. And it's not just renters or homeowners and typical residents, but we also have towns and villages and cities and social service organizations and houses of worship that can join too. So we've got a wide array of types of organizations and people that can be a part of this. And it's easy to sign up. I already went through the first couple, but to sign up, someone would just go online to sustainablewestchester.org/solar and complete the form online. And once someone starts, if they get stuck along the way, we'll reach out to them, and it can take up to, or it could take no more than 15 minutes or so if someone has their Con Ed bill nearby. And I just listed my name and email there in case anybody has any questions. But that's a very brief overview of community solar. But the point being, it's a fantastic program that makes solar available to pretty much everyone. And we're really proud to have it here at Sustainable Westchester. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Great, thanks, Claire. And I just want to stress again, we like to present Claire's program at the beginning of our webinar, because when people are starting to explore how they can make their home more energy efficient, if it's by installing a heat pump or perhaps making it more energy efficient by adding insulation and air sealing, these things do take some time to consider. So as you're mulling over your options for your home, it's a great thing. You can sign up for community solar, takes less than 10 minutes, and then it's already just being applied. And it's just a nice, easy energy action to take advantage of. And another great piece of news about community solar is in the town of Bedford, we're trying to get people to sign up for the program. And if we get enough signups, the town of Bedford will actually get a $5,000 grant. So tell your friends to sign up for community solar. Is that true for Lewisboro as well, Claire, or Bedford only?
It's not true for Lewisboro. We're not doing the same kind of arrangement with them, but we hope we will be able to at some point soon. But right now it's just Bedford. Y'all are lucky, and thanks to Mariah and your team at Bedford 2030.
Good. Okay, well, thanks, Claire, for showing us about community solar, and we're going to get into a little bit of energy smart homes. And as people are thinking of questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and then once we get to the end of the presentation, we can move through the questions that way, and people can unmute. We can talk to each other depending on how it goes. So just to quickly get in the mindset of Energy Smart Homes, which is a program that can make your house more energy efficient. Just want to mention that most of the programs that we talk about from here on out are available statewide through NYSERDA. The rebates and incentives vary around the state, but definitely if you have a house somewhere else in New York or a friend or family living someplace else, you can pass this information on to them as well. So the Energy Smart Homes Westchester program, it's a program of Sustainable Westchester. We are here to help you answer questions like which technology is best for my home? How can I decide to move forward? Any questions, feel free to give us a call. We also have a list of recommended partner contractors. So our list of contractors is based off of the Con Ed and NYSERDA lists. We've got a subset of contractors that were interviewed by our local volunteer teams and vetted by them as well. You'll be meeting 3 of the contractors very soon. And why are we talking about this at all? Well, we know that over 30% of the New York State greenhouse gas emissions are coming from our buildings, from heating and cooling. So New York State has really impressive carbon reduction goals to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions 40% by 2030 and 80% by 2050. So by jumping on the bandwagon and saving energy in your home, you're helping to help New York State reach these impressive carbon reduction targets. And yeah, so we're talking about electrifying everything, and we're doing that through these 4 different types of technologies. So we're going to start off talking about energy efficiency, and then we'll move into the heat pump options. So our 3 contractors on the call tonight, Lexi from Healthy Home Energy and Consulting is here. This contractor provides air source heat pump and home energy efficiency. Dandelion's on the line to talk about ground source, and Robeson is here to cover air source heat pumps. So Lexi, if you are there, can you unmute and we can talk about home energy efficiency?
Yeah, sure. I've unmuted. So my name is Lexi with Healthy Home Energy and Consulting. I'm the office manager there. So kind of what I want to just go through with everyone is what we view as the first step to reducing your carbon footprint. So as we talk about these different technologies of air source heat pumps and ground source heat pumps, the first step is to kind of get the energy usage in the home down first. So then you can size the equipment to heat and cool your home appropriately. Next slide. So essentially, some of these images might look similar to some people. If you want to go adventuring around your house into crawl spaces and up into attics, and you might notice some dirty insulation or ducts that have holes in them, or in your basement, you might notice that area above you where the floor is has some insulation or maybe nothing is there. And kind of what do you do when you see things like this, dirty things and unsealed things? And our goal is always to treat your house as a system. Everything you do to your home is going to impact one thing or another. So whether that be mechanicals or improving the insulation, everything's going to impact something else. Next slide. So this image is kind of commonly used through Energy Star nationwide, and you'll see it a lot with NYSERDA, used with NYSERDA, which is the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. And essentially, our goal is to help you discover where your home is at, understand what's going on in your house, figure out what your home needs to make it more energy efficient. So maybe reducing air leakage, you might notice drafts around windows or doors, and maybe improve insulation in your attic, reduce the amount of air that's escaping out through there, and then help you take educated action from there. Next step. So step 1 is evaluating the home. We kind of need to get a baseline of understanding where your home is at. Every home is individual, every home is different. If I had any power over my thermostat and my husband let me touch it, believe me, my heat would be higher a lot more of the time. So our goal is to always kind of help people understand how you use your home and what basically you can do to make your home more energy efficient and comfortable and healthy. So we come out, we do about 2 to 3 hours worth of testing. We then come back to our office, do an energy model where we kind of input how much energy you're using. And then we come back to your home and we review with you what we found. We're going to kind of let you know what's going on in the home, what you need, what your options are, and then kind of give you improvements to reduce your load. And by load, I mean the amount of energy it takes to heat and cool your home. So that might be things like air sealing, improving your insulation, indoor air quality improvements. A lot of times these measures are reducing the amount of fresh air that gets into your house. That can have a negative impact on your home's indoor air quality. So we want to be cognizant of that. And then obviously this is kind of our goal is to help your homes get ready for these new mechanical equipments, whether it be an air source heat pump or a ground source heat pump or geothermal. We want to get your house ready to make sure that the equipment you install can operate as efficiently as it can. Next slide. So this is just a few examples of the things that we do. We do a blower door test, which actually measures your home's air leakage. So I'm sure people can feel around doors or maybe outlets and you say, wow, I feel like a draft, or you see your curtains moving in the winter. And we actually want to put a numeric value to how leaky the home is. So what we do is we actually run a blower door We also do combustion safety and efficiency testing. We also do a thorough interior and exterior evaluation of the home, infrared scanning. Those bottom images down there are actually kind of cool. We use a picture-in-picture, so we can actually identify like where the air leakage is coming in from it. The picture really helps you understand like where in your house that is. And we also do indoor air quality sampling, because like I mentioned, if we're going to make the home really, really tight, we want to make sure we're being cognizant of the impact that can have on the home's indoor air quality. If anyone suffers from allergies or, you know, has some furry friends around the house, if we make that home really tight, all of a sudden you notice all the dust a whole lot more. Next slide. So like I mentioned, the goal over here is to get the home ready for these new heat pumps. So as you're thinking about a ground source heat pump or an air source heat pump, Healthy Home does install air source heat pumps. We want to make sure that the house is ready. So Healthy Home or Robeson or Dandelion can come in there and the mechanicals work the way they expect them to. Next slide. So this is kind of, those little question mark things are supposed to be arrows, my bad. So our goal here is to, you may notice like some radiators on your floor, or if you're in older homes, those raw iron furnace thing, like kind of radiators on the walls. The goal is to kind of reduce the consumption of these because these are typically fueled with fossil fuels. Add some insulation, examples of insulation in that basement rim joist. So like where you see the bottom of your house meet the basement, encapsulating an attic, that's the middle picture above, to get the home ready for air source heat pumps or ground source heat pumps. So that's kind of our overarching goal. Next slide. Yep, so that's who we are and what we do. If you have any questions or concerns, like I mentioned, like Lauren mentioned, we are one of the Energy Smart Homes contractors. Always feel free to give the office a call. You'll get me 95% of the time and I can re-review, and that's that.
Thank you, Lexi, for talking about the importance of starting with a home energy assessment to diagnose how your house is using energy. So just like Lexi was saying, we want to get heat pump ready. So there's different types of heat pumps out there and different reasons you might move towards an air source heat pump or a ground source heat pump. So we're going to hear from David Singer at Robeson Oil, who is...
Lauren, we have a live update.
We're going to hear from Chad Hunt from Robeson Oil.
You're going to hear from David's baby brother, Dan Singer.
Okay.
And so I just want to preface this before Dan goes into the heat pumps. I know that the community knows Robeson as an oil company. And, you know, we're celebrating our 100th year anniversary this year. But Robeson actually sells more natural gas and electricity than they do heating oil, and they sell more electricity than they do heating oil and natural gas combined. And all of our electricity that we do supplement is 100% green, but because Dan has been doing this for the past 30-something years, so that means that he's been doing it since he was a toddler, I kind of wanted him to kind of speak about what the company is doing and our plans for the future. And with that, I'm going to go on mute and let Dan Singer take it away.
Okay, and Dan, I don't hear you yet, but just to put some context around why someone would want to choose an air source heat pump. So we're talking about people, maybe your furnace or your boiler is getting towards the end of life. So you're thinking, is it time to replace it? Well, instead of replacing with a fossil fuel-based system, we want to think about moving to a heat pump, which is electricity-based. And here are some pictures of a ductless mini split. So an air source heat pump could be a good fit for someone that would never consider installing ducts in their home. Perhaps you want to do just one room, you want to do the whole house, that's also possible. So Dan, I just wanted to put some context around this picture because I don't think you've seen it before, and you've certainly seen this slide, so go ahead.
Thank you, Lauren. Between you and Chad, I think I'm just about done. So that was great. So thanks. Yeah. So look, this slide, what this really speaks to is really just the foundation of why this is relevant now. You know, for a number of different economic reasons, 2005 was the biggest year in the history of the United States for new HVAC equipment being installed, both air conditioning and existing heat pumps. And the average lifespan for this type of equipment is about 15 years. So now all of that equipment is coming to maturity, and it's a unique opportunity to make sure as people are replacing this type of aging equipment, that they're doing it in a fashion that makes the most sense for both themselves economically, as well as for themselves from a carbon emission standpoint, from an electrification standpoint. Again, I apologize. I'm not. If you can go to the next slide, I'm just not familiar with this deck. This slide just speaks to, and again, I apologize. I was a very late pinch hitter to this evening, as David's hung up on a connection on an air flight. But this just shows that there is a lot of incentives right now to work towards installing heat pumps in your home. Whether or not it's most of the people on this call, I believe, are in the Con Ed area, or maybe you're in NYSEG. But there's anywhere from a $500 to $2,000 subsidy per unit that people are installing of the air-based heat pumps, which for those that aren't familiar with it, and Lauren kind of gave a good backdrop of it, we're basically exchanging the air from where it's already warm or where it's cold, and you're essentially, and forgive me for oversimplifying, but we are exchanging air. And basically pumping out warm air when we need to cool it, and pumping out cold air when we're looking to warm the house. This slide just speaks to some of the incentives that are out there. Whoever's got the slides, if you don't mind, change it to the next one.
Sure. Yep. And I just want to point out, so the utilities are certainly subsidizing people to move to the full load heating. Rebate is much higher than partial load, but there's options here. So that's why it's important to think about which contractor you may want to schedule the assessment with, and they can really help give you the pathway forward to what would work best for your home. And just a reminder, there's utility rebates, there's rebates from the state, and there's a federal tax credit as well. Okay.
This slide, I guess what this slide really points to is really pointing out to all the points that Lexi was making earlier. This is a particular case study of a particular home. We have the permission of the Kerrigan family to talk about it. The font on this is going to be too small to go into detail. But I guess the point of this is, as Lexi was saying, there is no one cookie cutter approach to electrifying someone's home or to make their home more efficiently. It's kind of a cocktail of different things that can be done. This shows the type of analysis that is done on a home to analyze the heat loss, analyze the existing insulation, analyze the airflow and the current consumption. The heat loss is a big part of it, to understand what the heat load needs to be for the home, and each situation is tailored for that particular situation. So getting that initial assessment done, again, as Lexi was describing, is the starting point, and then from there you can look to see whether or not geothermal, which I believe Patrick's going to be speaking about shortly, or whether or not air source heat pumps are the right way to go to the home, or some combination of residual energy sources, and whether or not, again, at Robeson, as Chad was saying, we look every time we come into a situation like this, we're looking at how can we utilize air source heat pumps. How can we we sell electricity, as Chad said, as 100% green product made purely from hydro. To those that remain on heating oil, we only sell biofuel blended heating oils to at least to make sure that whatever is remaining, whatever needs for fuel that remains are going to be done in a more sustainable way with a decrease of carbon emissions. So again, this slide obviously just gives you our pertinent information to reach out to us, but we're really proud of the transition that we're making away from, and again, Chad mentioned that we are celebrating our 100-year anniversary. I always find these types of discussions interesting, and people oftentimes find Robeson being as part of these discussions interesting. My grandfather with his great-grandfather used to deliver coal down chutes as the fuel, and the fuel of the future that people never, some naysayers said we'll never convert to this fuel of the future was oil. And then they converted to oil, and then to natural gas, and now to electrification. We view our mission perpetually to make sure that we're keeping people comfortable in their homes with whatever fuel source it is. And if next year we figure out a way to electrify people's homes with plutonium, then we're going to make sure that we're going to figure out how to install and service plutonium packs in people's backyards, because that's really at the end of the day, our mission is to help people stay comfortable in whatever the source is. If we can't do it, we'll find the resource that can.
Okay, great. Thanks, Danielle. So now we're going to talk a little bit about ground source heat pumps. Patrick, can you frame why someone would want to move to a ground source heat pump? And we'll take it from there. And then I'm sure we're going to have lots of questions at the end.
Well, hi, I'm Patrick from Dandelion. Appreciate your time this evening. For starters, you should install a ground source heat pump because it doesn't use plutonium. Dan for that one. So directionally, ground source heat pumps are, really sort of parallel to air source heat pumps, and both have their right, installation characteristics. And sometimes, in fact, I work in a lot of homes where they're both the correct solution, right? But we'll talk a little bit more about what Dandelion is and what ground source heat pumps are and how they might work for your house. So first off, Dandelion has a storied history that's pretty brief, especially compared with Robison's 100 years. We've been in the business for 4 years now. 2021 is already on track to be exponentially larger than last year, which itself was exponentially larger than the year before that. And all of this comes from X, which is Google's Alphabet Research Lab directionally. And, Google X has this sort of broad moonshot goal of trying to fix, major issues environmentally and in the world in general. And Kathy Hanoun, as well as James Quasi, you see in this picture here, co-founded Dandelion to help achieve one of those goals, which is to reduce carbon in buildings, of course. This is what you'll look like if you switch to geothermal. If you want to switch to the next slide there. So I think we spoke about this a little bit earlier in the presentation. The truth is the vast majority of the energy consumption for a home in New York State is attributed to a combination of space heating, air conditioning, and water heating. That also therefore represents the largest possible opportunity for us to make an impact. And a lot of this can be semi-overwhelming because there's just so much information out there, and there's so many contractors to talk to, and there's so many different things that you can consider. But without a doubt, all of the people on this call are channeling you toward the best and easiest ways to make an impact. And so if you switch to the next slide there, we can describe really briefly with a visual how geothermal works. There are a couple of key elements to a geothermal or ground source heat pump installation. The main one is that we must drill a well somewhere on your property. Geothermal isn't right for everybody. There are certainly circumstances in which you might have a smaller property and be better geared towards an air source heat pump, or maybe you have a larger property, you've got plenty of room, for a small drill rig to come on site and drill a well. In which case, what we're going to do is install a closed loop water system that directionally exchanges cooler heat out to the, or cooler water out to the earth and brings back warmer water with the intent of using that added heat to heat your home. And then the benefit to that in the summertime is that you can just reverse that system and get cool air into your home. It's incredibly efficient, because it uses very little electricity, this heat pump. And that's mainly because, with a ground source heat pump, you're constantly pulling from a 55-degree source, of heat in the earth. 55 degrees may not seem like a lot, but when you compare it to the outdoor winter and summer temperatures that we experience, it certainly makes a huge difference. And so what we effectively do is we install a heat pump inside of your house that communicates with this ground loop. And what it does is it takes advantage of thermodynamics by adding pressure using an onboard compressor on this heat pump, and therefore increasing the temperature, the apparent temperature of the heat that comes off of the ground loop. So now you're not getting a 55-degree heat, rather we're pumping about 100-degree heat into your house. And that's why it's so important, what Lexi mentioned earlier about insulating, because a furnace, a comparable furnace, would produce a much warmer heat than 100 degrees. And so being that, heat pumps generally produce a cooler heat, and they're more efficient, you also want to make sure that that heat's being trapped efficiently inside your house and not being wasted to the outside environment. So, we'll install your heat pump in your basement in most circumstances. There are definitely some limited circumstances in which you don't need a basement, but overwhelmingly that's where we're putting them. And if you switch, we're going to go quickly through the next 3 slides because it's just basically an expanded version of what I just told you. But what we're doing here is we are sending a cooler water out to the ground and bringing a warmer water back in. And that heat that we pull in is representative of what we're using to heat your house. So rather than needing to light anything on fire inside of your basement to produce heat, like they did in the 1910s and 1920s when Dan's relatives were hucking coal around, we're able to do this in the 21st century without lighting anything on fire, which is very nice. So you skip right through this. It's like a thermodynamics lecture at this point. So I think this is probably a really watered down and simplistic version of why you should consider geothermal versus heating fuel. To some degree, this would also apply to air source heat pumps, right? I think the idea behind all of this is by electrifying your heat source, you do a number of important things. Most people that I've met with are, concerned about the environment, but also not necessarily so concerned about the environment that they would spend 5 times as much on a new heating system. And so it's important that you understand that the air source heat pumps and the ground source heat pumps that we're talking about today will absolutely reduce your operating costs compared with heating with oil or heating with gas. And these are all things that are very attractive, even if you should sell the house later down the road. I think, ultimately, if you walk into a house and it's got a heating oil system installed that you're going to have to replace at some point anyway, and you walk into the house next door and it's got a nice new geothermal system or air source heat pump, I don't know, I know which one I'm going with, right? So there's definitely some equity consideration as well with these types of systems. And fortunately, geothermal offers, some of the best incentives and tax credits that are available today to help offset the cost of installation, most of which is related to drilling. In order to roll a drill rig out on your property costs a good amount of money. Thankfully, you don't actually have to pay a whole lot of money these days to get your drill rig on site and install a ground source heat pump system, thanks in part to the federal tax credit that was just extended through the end of 2022 at 26% of the total cost of the system, as well as incentives from Con Ed and NYSEG, who will pay you directly up front to thousands of dollars to switch to a geothermal system. I had a client 2 weeks ago in Con Ed territory who received a $34,000 incentive to install a geothermal system. Of course, this is for a large house, but certainly bears some consideration that Con Ed and NYSEG are pushing people toward these types of things, right? And in fact, it's worth mentioning, since I haven't heard it yet today on this call, where that money comes from. We're already paying for it. So if you look at your electric bill, whether you're a Con Ed customer or a NYSEG customer, you'll see a line item on it called the system benefits charge. And the money that's collected from that system benefits charge is actually used to fund these Con Ed and NYSEG incentive programs to pay for other people to have their geothermal and air source heat pump systems installed. So why not take a bite for yourself? You're already paying for it. If you happen to have any further questions about this, you're welcome to reach out to me directly. I'll be happy to guide you in the right direction, whether that direction is with us or with someone else. You can reach me there at that email address. Again, I'm Patrick with Dandelion. You can reach me at patrick@dandelionenergy.com.
Okay, great. Thanks, Patrick. All right, so the last technology that we're just going to talk about very quickly, and then we'll get into Q&A, is a heat pump hot water heater. It might be something that you are thinking about more often because the heat pump hot water heater is something that we need to replace more frequently than a whole entire heating system. But basically, the heat pump hot water heater is a great way to save energy in your home while getting some hot water. It is a much more efficient system, actually 2 to 3 times more efficient than a typical hot water heater, and it can fit in most homes. The only qualification is your heat pump or your hot water heater needs to be in a space where there's a little bit of room around it. The heat pump hot water heater is known to make the space cooler around where the unit is, since it's drawing energy from that air. And it's a great thing to look into. Con Ed has a $1,000 discount and NYSEG as well. So even though the unit is a little bit more expensive, the discount from the utility stacked on top of the savings that come from it really make this pay back quite quickly. And that's my quick review of heat pump hot water heater. So for all of the technologies that we've covered tonight, we really encourage everyone to give a call to the contractors that you met tonight on the phone or on this webinar. If you're unsure of which way to go, you can definitely give me a call at the Sustainable Westchester office. We have a list of 10 partner contractors that we recommend, and different contractors certainly have preferences or specialties into different types of homes as well. So we can point you in that direction. And we're here to help for sure. So the next step, if you're wondering, is again, a reminder, take a look in the chat. The links to each contractor's profiles have been posted, or you can contact us, like I just said. And the process is you give them a call, schedule that assessment. The contractor will present a summary of their findings and a proposal to you, and it's your choice to move ahead or not. So just a quick reminder, we have some webinars if you would like to get this information again, or you want to tell a friend about it. We've got more webinars coming up, some on Earth Day during the day, and on May 4th, we'll be doing a virtual house tour at 7:30. So I think we're going to hang out together and do Q&A in the main room instead of doing breakout rooms tonight. And I don't always mention this on the calls, but just want to be clear that Sustainable Westchester is the provider of the Westchester Power Program. So it's a great fit for us as a nonprofit to promote heat pumps, which, as you've learned tonight, are running from electricity. So with the Westchester Power Program, your municipality has partnered with our nonprofit to provide 100% renewable energy. Not a lot of people know that they've even been signed up for it, but you can take a look on your Con Ed or NYSEG bill, and it will indicate that Sustainable Westchester is helping you with your energy. And that's another thing we can talk about over the phone or even now if you have more questions. So are there questions in the chat? How are we looking, Sustainability Club? Is there anyone that wants to unmute and ask a question? Where are we at? Let's see. Looks like Lexi was helping to answer a question. Kayla was saying, is there a thing as too much insulation? Is it possible to have the house be too tight? So for the sake of the video recording, Lexi, do you want to respond?
Yeah. So yeah, in general, in terms of too much insulation, if we want to get into the technical nitty gritty, there is, like, in terms of return on investment and R value, which is thermal retention value of insulation, there's a certain level where it is no longer as valuable to keep adding insulation. But in terms of air sealing, that's something you want to be really, really careful of, is you can make a home too tight because people live in a house and people breathe. And people kind of sound like something you don't always think about is that you exhale warm air. So if you make a home really, really tight, you can actually damage the home. So we do have solutions in making it more, and I'm sure Robeson does as well, in terms of addressing that with things like whole home fresh air systems and energy recovery ventilators. And I'll pass it over to Chad.
So one of the, thank you. One of the things that we were finding out as well in regards is humidity is key and finding the right balance when you're doing this, because we were talking to an insurance agent that does high-end homes, and he was saying that if the humidity isn't right, most of the time your insurance policy is not going to cover if your grand piano starts cracking or some very expensive artwork is they'll say that's natural, or your wood floor start to buckle. You're like, whoa. What happened? I got all this pergola flowing going on here, and I got to replace it. Insurance is not paying out for it. So, and also if the humidity level is not placed, if it's not the right mixture, if you have older people or younger people in the house, respiratory problems can start to develop as well. And you just keep going to the doctor going, I can't breathe, this and that. But no one ever bothers to do a humidity test in their house to kind of what's going on there.
And that is one of the measures that help the homeless measures the humidity level of someone. I'm one of the people that is extremely sensitive to almost everything. So we're going to be very cognizant of all these different sorts of factors that lead to indoor air quality, including things like particulates. And you saw some of that dirty insulation in the attic, and you have recessed lights. These recessed lights go into that dirty insulation. And you want to be there's lots and lots of factors that give into your house as a system, including you and your comfort. So that's why we really do try to take that approach.
And one more thing I'd like to add, because I know Dan would stop my paycheck tomorrow if I didn't mention this. Robeson is one of the remedies that we do when we're doing the humidity test and stuff like that. We also offer duct cleaning and carpet cleaning, because it's just kind of like, if you've ever noticed, you'll vacuum your house and everything like that, and everything's good, and then the next day just dust everywhere again. And that stuff is just being recirculated. You ask them, well, when's the last time that you had your house? When's the last time you had your ducts cleaned? They go, never. I change the filters every once in a while, and that's it. And when we go in there with our scopes and our cameras and stuff, you see this, you see this, you see this, and they're like, oh my God, can you do something about this right away?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Lexi. If I can add on to even what Chad was saying, because this relates directly to the question. There was an unknown benefit before when homes were leaky and airflow was coming to the house and you felt drafts. It was, even though it was cold and inefficient, you had a natural airflow where fresh air was coming into the home. As you seal the home, you make it more energy efficient, but then you're dealing with all the things that Chad and Lexi are referring to, including the particulates in the air. So part of the issue is humidity, if you're over insulated. The other part is just the contaminants that are in the air that your dog is shaking off of you, or you're coughing out, or it's getting into your carpets or in your ductwork. So it air filtration becomes a major part of the equation. As I was saying before, every single home is different depending on who's living there and what the situation is. We now virtually with every one of these installations and that we do any air conditioning work or home air quality work we do, we offer to install UV lights into the system. Now with everybody being particularly sensitive to viruses, the UV lights are an effective part of that. Where again, we all are being told that outdoor air and airflow helps the spread of viruses, as we've all been learning a lot over the last year. If you don't have that going on in your home, you need to address it some other way. So whether or not it's through MERV, better filters with higher MERV ratings, or whether or not it's through UV lights, or whether or not it's through other type of air filtration, that's the other side to over insulating your home, fully insulating your home.
Yeah, but it's just, again, treating your house as a system. We don't want to look at one thing. You want to look at everything that everything feeds into one another. I do see in this chat that Stephen asked a question about Cape homes. Some people have these Cape homes where there's no actual attic spaces, or they're also concerned about their exterior walls and how we get insulation in there. We can, so we actually, part of our testing is utilizing infrared scanning to see how well the insulation is performing in those cavities. The blower door helps us kind of see how well it's performing. And then in terms of insulation, we do have, we can cut accesses and actually use a method called dense packing, which actually allows us to drill about a 3.5-inch hole in each bay and then dense pack it. And we can do it from the outside depending on your siding type. But yeah, we do work in a decent amount of Cape homes, and there are solutions to reduce the drafts. It's hard for me to just give you a flat answer. This is what I do for you. Never seen your house, but it is definitely something that we address regularly.
Thanks, Lexi, for that. And just putting the context around the importance of having that home energy assessment to diagnose how your house is using energy, how airflow is moving around. And then it's great to have a professional use this home performance program or comfort home program Lexi will put you through the right NYSERDA program to really diagnose things in a correct way. So Elena asked if there's a fee for the home energy audit, and some of our contractors have a no fee home energy assessment, but Healthy Home does have a fee. Do you?
Go into that a little bit. So touching on the incentive end of it, NYSERDA, which again, New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, I say it like 200 times a day, essentially does encourage homeowners to have these energy audits performed. So you'll notice on their website, there is a free energy audit. The value of that free energy audit is $150. So essentially contractors get paid $150 to have that assessment performed. Healthy Homes testing is much more intensive than what the state requires because we do the indoor air quality testing. We always do the infrared scanning. We print all that stuff out and actually hand it to you. There's just a few things the state doesn't require every single contractor do. So we do perform a lot more extensive testing. So we have a copay of $250 plus tax, which we do credit back to people. If you have any want more specific questions, always feel free to give me a call. Like Lauren mentioned, there's numerous NYSERDA programs. There's Comfort Home, which is more market rate, Empower, which there are eligible to get improvements done at no cost to homeowners depending on the income eligibility. Assisted home performance is another one, and then as I believe Patrick and Daniel mentioned, New York State Clean Heat has a lot of incentives for mechanicals, so you can always go through that, and that's actually run through your utility. So there's a lot of information out there with these programs. Lauren at Sustainable Westchester does a fantastic job helping educate people, but there is a lot. It can be confusing and overwhelming. Something I always like to mention to people is take your time. Your home is one of the largest investments you'll make in your life. Just take a deep breath. It's a lot of information, and a lot of people feel, oh, I feel this draft and I want to take care of it right now, but just take a deep breath. And there's, again, incentives change, and that one thing we can guarantee is things will change, but the last thing you want to do is kind of try and rush into anything and feel like you aren't sure of why you're doing it. I know Patrick and Daniel at Robeson and everyone at Robeson at Sustainable Westchester does a great job educating, and that's something that we really, really take a lot of pride in this process is you are your best advocate in your home and understanding what you need, so you should understand every aspect of what's going on into any sort of investment like this.
Okay. Thanks, Lexi. All right, are there any questions? Any other questions remaining? Oh, Mark is saying, yeah. Mark, do you want to say that to everybody? I'm seeing him put something in.
Sure. Yeah, I just want to echo what Lauren said originally, and that because of our fossil-free supply, both the town of Lewisboro and the town of Bedford automatically enrolled everybody into this supply of fossil-free power. Moving to heat pumps is the #1 thing you can do if you want to move to a lower carbon footprint. So just wanted to, it also reduces a lot of pollution too, because if you burn oil, it's a lot of pollution that's coming out of your stack. So thanks, Lauren, for mentioning that.
Sure, thanks. Okay, any questions? Any other questions remaining?
I just want to mention one thing, and it's actually not related to the ground source heat pumps that I sell, but I installed a heat pump water heater at my house this past September, and it has been fantastic. They are relatively inexpensive to install, particularly if you're already in the market for one. They're, given the incentives that are available, they're pretty comparable in price, in fact, to a standard water heater. I keep really close track of these things. I'm a huge nerd. But I have used a grand total of $46 worth of electricity in the past 6 months to heat my hot water. And you just can't beat that. I happen to be getting my electricity from solar, which also means that hot water production is completely carbon free. So I didn't know if anyone was specifically advocating for heat pump water heaters, but I think they're an undersold story here, and should definitely check them out.
Yep. And our partner contractor installing heat pump hot water heaters is Bell Heating and Cooling and Bruni and Campisi. So those are 2 contractors that are able to help. All right. Well, in closing, I'd like to say thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and thank you so much to the John Jay Sustainability Club. Bravo for bringing this event together and getting your neighbors here. So thank you again, and wonderful, wonderful night. So have a great evening, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you, Steve, for bringing this all together.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.